smoking too, sipping and roasting. Yeah, that's what we do. Set 'em up, knock 'em down, make that cherry glow. Whiskey and cigars, the gentleman's cologne.
Cheers, y'all. That almost went into like Tarzan yell territory.
I'm going to be on The Voice next season.
Welcome. This is what it sounds like when a party's about to begin, ladies and gentlemen.
Who's Kel Burnett? Used to do the greatest Tarzan yell ever.
Oh, yes.
Welcome,
Absolutely.
ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza, known internationally
Hi, Mom.
as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, and you have caught us at show number 417.
Ooh, we're getting up there.
We've drank a lot of beer, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's a minimum of 3 beers per show.
Yeah, right. And I don't know.
You do that's like 60 beers or something.
At least. Maybe 65.
If you were to ask ChatGPT what is the opposite of dry January, that's what it would tell you.
Smoking and toasting.
It's exactly what it would tell you.
Now, we didn't do all those in a row. We did
Yeah.
we did have a week separation for most of them.
True. That's true. So and probably a good thing to give our livers time to object.
Yes.
So, well, welcome to the show today. We are the title for today's show is Finally the Top Cigars of 2024, because we've been promising you to get to that list for the last several weeks, and it just doesn't
busy.
happen.
We've been busy.
Yeah, but
Good
today we don't have a guest on the program, so I'm very excited that we'll have time to delve into some of these things that we've been wanting to share with you, but haven't had the opportunity to. And speaking of special guests, by the way, big thanks to Greg Doxakis, Dox we call him, from Plantaray Rum, who was here last week and
He's such a blast.
and brought some amazing rum.
Did anyone check the spike to see just how much we spiked in the
it's
ratings
interesting
last week?
because I was feeling kind of like, you know how when there's like a big event, like say the Super Bowl. Hang on, I'm going to Venmo some money to the NFL. Because I just said
You can't see that.
so when there's a big event like that, and whatever network carries it, you know, they've got these huge ratings. This show kind of feels like what you do the week after the Super Bowl. It's like we had this rating spike last week because Dox was on, and that's his claim, of course, is that whenever he's on, the ratings spike.
the
So
spiky fox.
I'm sorry that there's only 2 of you listening
You
to the
just
show
feel
today.
the vacuum right now.
That's right. This is Smoking and Toasting. Thank you both for listening. We are so excited to be here though, because we got I think a really good show today for you. We're going to be doing some tasting, which we like to do on the program.
Yes.
The Heavy Reel Brewing Company is located in Seaside Heights, New Jersey. That's Heavy Reel, REEL, and we're going to be tasting their Jelly Donut Sour today, called Jelly Fingers.
Jelly donut sour.
Yeah.
I've had stuff kind of like that before, and
Yeah.
some of it's been pretty darn good.
Yeah. They originally were going to call it Jelly Roll, but then a guy in Nashville threatened to sue him, so that's not going to happen. I don't know who's going to be suing over this one. From Dripping Springs, Texas, the Twisted X Brewing Company will be trying their hazy IPA called McConauhaze.
Okay.
So, and listen,
All right.
this show
Yes.
originates in Houston, Texas. That's where we call home. And Matthew McConauhaze is something of, you can't call him a national treasure because it's a Texas thing, but he's a statewide treasure.
Yes.
Everybody loves him. It doesn't matter what your politics are, everybody loves Matthew McConaughey. So I don't know if you saw, I was watching some of the football games last weekend, and there's this new commercial for Uber Eats that doesn't say anything about Uber Eats. It just has an Uber Eats bag sitting like next to him on a table, and Matthew McConaughey is in a mirror with a thick mustache and some sunglasses and a hairdo that looks like Mike Ditka. And the whole commercial is him in a mirror going, "The Bears Da Bears, until he finally gets Da Bears. Yeah, got it. And that's the whole commercial.
Love it.
Doesn't say anything about it, and I watched it every time. Like I love this. I love this guy. So McConauhaze is a hazy IPA from Twisted X Brewing. We'll be trying that. No a word, by the way. I searched as to whether Matthew McConaughey is in any way involved in this IPA, or if they just said he's a statewide treasure. We're going to name it.
He's
after
involved
him.
now.
Yeah, he's involved now. And speaking of involved, I am predicting that Ian will get quite involved with our biggest beer on the show today. It's from New Image Brewing and Primitive Beer, a collaboration out of Wheat Ridge, Colorado. It is called Sugar Moon, and it is a Belgian-style barrel-aged barley wine. See, I knew I'd get your attention.
There's so many things in there that I love.
Absolutely.
Belgian style, barley, wine,
Barrel, aged.
barrel. Yes, all those. I love. You put all those words together.
New Image Brewing.
I don't
Primitive
even
Beer.
care what order you put those words in.
That's right. It's not bad. Not bad at all. So looking forward to that. We will also be bringing you the most popular segment on this program, which is a little ditty we do in the second hour of the show called Drinking News. And today's Drinking News teaser headline is, "Look, Ma, I did it myself." So you can think about that. We'll also bring you a
Somehow
drinking-
that scares me.
Yeah.
That usually means
and
like
it should.
Yeah,
Crayon
really
story.
but
It
that's
should.
like crayons on the wall or stuff like that.
It
you know?
really scares me in this instance.
It's like every now and then you hear those stories about like a 7-year-old who got in a car and drove it.
Yeah,
You know?
yes.
They're like, I don't know where I'm going, but
I'm going there.
and we'll also be bringing you the drinking fact here in a few moments. And the drinking fact teaser headline is, "All hail Ninkas." And for those of you who are watching the video, you can see I did a sort of a like hands in the air salute. I just want to point out that it is absolutely not in any way similar to Elon Musk's hand in the air
No,
salute.
but
No.
from
I'm
recently.
literally going to take that video out and just put "I am Cornholio" over that.
that would actually be perfect. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. I didn't mention our spirit, by the way. Ian was kind enough to bring our spirit in today that we'll be tasting. And you've heard of this one, but I don't think we've ever officially tasted it on the show. Plus, I just am
Come
excited
on,
about
we
it.
all know and love this one.
Weller 12,
but we're
baby.
going to talk about it.
Yeah,
Weller 12.
So
Wasn't it best whiskey in the world like last year or the year before?
it's gotten so many different awards, and it's just one of those bottles that everybody agrees
It's got
is
a
special.
modern screw top bottle.
Yeah, and can be a little hard to find too. Do you have trouble
Yeah,
finding that
so
one?
this is it's one of the allocated ones. So if you don't happen to be there when they put it on the shelf, then you're not getting any.
Yeah.
Because like the minute they put it on the shelf, I swear, like the person's hand lets go and it disappears.
People have asked me before, hey, how do you get a hold of some of these bottles of spirits that are allocated and that are difficult to be there and difficult to get? And just in line with what Ian just said, my advice to you is, and I do this myself, go to your favorite liquor store every day. Every day. Just go,
this
hang
bottle
out, buy
came along.
something.
This bottle came along out of luck. I was at work actually, and a friend of the show, Roberto Rivas, texted me. He goes, "Hey, look what they just put out at Specs, and they had a big display of this." Now I know that this is going to last minutes.
Right.
He texts me this at about 5 o'clock. I don't get off till 7. There's no way that this whole even. I know it's
gonna
cases.
It's going to be gone. Yeah.
So I called my wife. I said, "Would you mind going downtown to Specs?" Of course, that's not a hard request.
Yeah, right. Of course, yeah.
and it's not far from the house. So she immediately got off work, ran downtown to Specs. She goes, "I had a hard time finding it. I looked down, there was only like one or two bottles left in this box on the floor." And that's literally was about 30 minutes or 40 minutes from the
when
text.
Roberto sent you the text.
So like that's how fast this stuff sells out. And if you can get it and you're lucky, I love it. You can buy it all the time on secondary for outrageous prices.
Sure,
I don't involve myself in that ever.
Yeah, that's not.
If I'm going to buy it, I'm going to have it at the house to enjoy it. Certainly not turning.
Yeah, but you make it fun. You always make it fun. You know, actually, it's like a game. He's
that's right.
he's on it now to get these bottles at not secondary prices.
In In fact, we have something. Maybe we can share this since we're talking about this. Maybe we can share this later in the show. Have an interesting article about the 13 best liquor stores in the United States for finding rare spirits.
Oh, wow.
So maybe we'll share that with you, and you can put a few of these on your bucket list for travel. So hopefully we will get to that. Ian not only brought the Weller 12 today, but he also brought what we have now abbreviatedly begun referring to internally as the BOM, B-O-M, for Beverage of Mystery. So let's go down that path here, Terry.
The Beverage of Mystery.
It does seem so much more mysterious when you hear that
Yes, I
introduction.
love
doesn't
that.
it? Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So on the nose, getting botanicals,
Yes.
making me guess this might be a gin.
So I'm going to point out to you guys,
Yeah.
because you guys are always afraid I'm going to malort you. I haven't tasted this either.
Yeah. Well,
This will be my
Okay.
first time.
so when he first brought this in, just before we started taping the show, I looked at this clear beverage. It was obvious it was not like a seltzer because there was only like a little bit of it in here. So I looked at this clear beverage and I said, if this is Cristalino Malort, I'm out. I'm off the show.
I mean, this to me smells like dirt and a little bit of pine.
Which
And
is
then-
not a bad
Well,
thing.
so
Yeah,
can I-
not in
can
a
I-
bad way.
Well,
Not in a bad way. It's
Can I say, did you actually smell it before you put the ice cubes in it? Because I know I sniffed it a little early. I know we were talking about, I sniffed it a little early, and I felt really the botanicals were big. But then once the ice was in there and melted, it actually changed to piney and grassy a little bit more to
Yeah.
me after the ice was
So,
in there.
Did you try this yet?
I've
No,
taken
not yet.
I've taken a sip of it, and my first reaction is I was not in any way expecting it to be sweet.
Oh,
Not like that.
But
It is
wow.
almost sugary. It's
It
so
is.
sweet, and that surprised me because usually when you think of like botanicals, like with a gin, it's not sour, but it's certainly the opposite of sweet. It's astringent. It's
yeah, I was not expecting that either.
Bitter, a lot of times botanicals can be, even though they're very floral, they can come
Well, think
across
about
very
it. It's
bitter.
just like the smell of those, bushes that are lining the sidewalk at your grandmother's house. You know the ones I'm
Yes,
talking
yes,
about.
yes.
That's what gin reminds me of a little bit. It's certainly on the nose, and you expect that to follow through. But this is almost like
Azaleas were those?
this is sweeter than a rum.
It is very sweet. It's actually almost got an artificial sweet in it. Not artificial, but there is definitely some sugar added or something like that. I mean, I'm not getting like an aspartame, but there is sugar added to this.
I'm amazed that I brought something in and you guys aren't spitting it out.
Well, we're trying to be, we're trying to be kind. It is the beverage of
well,
mystery.
it's not horribly offending and nothing lingers too much.
It's a little too sweet for me, though.
Oh, no, I mean,
this is
yeah.
not something I would buy and drink. I
no,
have to say.
no.
It's
Yeah.
also recommended that you serve this chilled, which I tried to do, but we talked a lot. And by we, I mean you. So I tried to have it chilled.
So,
But it's also recommended that you take this as a shot.
okay.
so
so I can see that.
1,
Like,
2, 3.
like if you think back when we used to, do a lot of club stuff. We would do shots of like
Dude,
peppermint
that was last
schnapps.
Thursday.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We would do shots of like peppermint schnapps
Yes.
or Goldschlager,
Jaeger.
and that's
Goldschlager.
that's kind of what this. I didn't say it was good. I said we did it. This what this kind of reminds me of. If you think,
Yes,
Ian,
you're right.
Ian, while the music is playing us out here, what are we drinking?
clear Jaeger.
What is is that a beverage of mystery canister in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
This is
Holy moly!
Chios Mastija Liqueur Psychus?
What is okay?
Okay,
all
thanks
together
for,
now.
Thanks for clearing that up.
All together.
What is it?
So this came from a friend of mine. Andy gave me this.
Yeah.
And a friend of his brought this from Greece. So this is from Greece. This is, I guess, a traditional Grecian thing, if you will.
It's my big fat Greek liqueur.
Yeah.
Product of Greece, keep it in a cool place. Yeah, but this is one of those things.
We got to go to break. We'll be right back. We'll finish up talking about this and find out what you smoked this week. So it's Smoking It Toast. Welcome back. It is Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. I was trying to figure out, Ian, where this spirit that you brought in for the beverage of mystery, where this comes from. Like, what country is this made in? Do you know?
It's Greece. It says product of Greece.
It's Greece.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you should have recognized that by the sort of Greek-looking wraparound scarf rope thing.
Yes.
That seems like a very Greek.
It's also
Greek
so it's funny too because this is a liqueur. It's coming in at 26%.
Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense. It does drink like a liqueur,
Yeah.
and it's got that sweetness that some.
Also, look how
liqueurs
weird
have.
this is.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, wow, that is bizarre. Show that to the camera.
So for those of you just listening, I popped the cork, and I hope you can hear that I said cork with air quotes.
Yeah.
So it's very bizarre. It has this skinny little cork
Stopper.
part.
Yeah.
I should take a picture of this and send it up. So, but it's almost got like a little pour thing built into it.
Yeah,
It's very strange.
Very, very odd. The Greeks don't want no freaks, as Don Henley once wrote. So listen, that is, we were talking about this during the break. That is the type of thing that, and this is what I figure you're going to do. You're going to take that home, you're going to put it in your freezer, and you'll just do shots from it.
Yeah, because I think that's how you're supposed to drink it anyway. It does say serve chilled.
Don't do the shot with your Weller 12.
Everything
Do
that
this.
everything I read on it says, this is enjoyed as a shot, or best enjoyed as a shot.
I took the rest of mine as a shot just now.
Okay.
Yeah,
And how was that?
It was more of it.
Kind of a Goldschlager-ish
Yeah, it was.
experience?
It really was.
Yeah.
It really
So,
was.
so do you
It was-
suppose for the rest of the show, if I yell out "Opa," we all have to take a shot of this?
I think so. So please don't yell out Opa. Let me keep you busy.
Is that like
with-
the Hey Bob drinking, Hi
Yeah.
Bob drinking game from Bob Newhart?
Let's keep you busy so that you don't have a chance to yell out Opa. Do you have any chance to smoke anything interesting
I
this
sat
week?
out on my patio last night, grabbed a cigar that I just got in, and I've had one of these before. Actually, this is the Oliva Serie V Milanio 2023 Figurino. So this is
I love that cigar.
So this is just a Milanio, right? We've
But it's a
known
different-
and
a
enjoyed
different
it,
shape.
but the shape is really cool. It's a Figurino, so it's like it's very pointy at both ends. Right? Looks like if a kid draws a cigar a lot of times.
Right. I got you. Yeah.
But it's a beautiful cigar. And you can find these if you can find them still in a store. They retail for about $20 each.
Yeah.
So
And Oliva's not known for cigars in that price range. So
Not
this
really.
Is
And so-
definitely a super premium. for
right,
them.
and this is a 5.5 by 52, so it's not a very big cigar either.
Right.
The wrapper is Ecuador, Sumatra. The binder is Nicaraguan. The filler is Nicaraguan. Like I said, this is Milanio. If you've had that before, you know the overall profile. The appearance: milk chocolate wrapper, leathery and slightly gritty texture to it, oily and toothy. Pardon me, 3 bands on it: Oliva band, Milanio band, and the 2023 band covers up. Oh, I don't know, 2/3 of the cigar.
most of it, yeah.
By that point in time, right? The pre-light sniff on is earthy and sweet, coffee and barnyard, slight spicy notes. Pre-light draw. I used the clip on the end, had a medium draw, got some barnyard, earth, cedar, chocolate, and the gentle nuttiness. The initial light on this. Hold on. MPB makes me feel fine. That's how far I'm going.
So
All
for
right,
those who
Nicaraguan
are
pepper
not
blast.
regular listeners of the show, NPB is our abbreviation for Nicaraguan pepper blast.
We get the-
which often happens with Nicaraguan tobacco when you take that first few puffs and it
Yes.
just boom, you get hit with
There it
pepper.
is, right there in your face. It's like
So that happened for you.
yeah.
with this,
So the Nicaraguan pepper blast right off the top, but with a little bit of chocolate and cedar in it as well. Sometimes the Nicaraguan pepper blast is just pepper.
all pepper, yeah.
But this one had a little bit of flavor. The retrohale was pepper and wood. The first third of cigar, pepper and chocolate, and an underlying nuttiness paired with coffee. This was basically a breakfast donut.
Love it.
I mean, this was a delicious cigar.
You know, we're going to do a jelly donut sour
Nice.
beer in the next segment. so.
It leaves a little touch of leather on the lips too, which is really, really nice. The retrohale is sweet and spicy, with a hint of cinnamon, solid ash, uneven burn. Proposed pairing. Well, I did a whiskey sniff on this one, and Glenmorangie 10 won. Glenmorangie 10
It is a winner.
more on that later. The second third of this, Pepper backs off, nuttiness and cinnamon ramps up, pairs so well with the cinnamon, vanilla, and oaky notes in the Glenmorangie. The chocolate and coffee remains consistent, leaving a sweet aftertaste with a touch of leather. Retrohale is sweet and spicy with cedar chocolate, solid ash, good burn. I didn't touch the burn, it just kind of did its own thing.
Good.
The last is massive flavor at medium strength is kind of an anomaly. You don't get that with every cigar.
True.
And it's so good. The nutty notes become very recognizable as kind of a peanut note at this point in time. A warm, dark bread kind of note sneaks in underneath everything. The whiskey pairing is amazing. I just wrote that down like as its own sentence there. Retrohale is sweet and spicy with cedar and chocolate. Solid ash, good burn. Listen, price to quality at $20.
Yep.
I'm going to give this a 4.5.
Okay, so not quite living up to the price point.
It's $20. This thing is a 45-minute smoke.
And I'm guessing
At best.
one of the
However-
reasons you might score it a little off of the 5 mark is because you can get a Melanio
Yes.
for
$15 or $14. Yes.
and it's going to smoke just as
and
well.
it's substantially better. However, and right before we go to this break, I'm going to point out I paid $7 for this cigar. It gets a 7.
Oh yeah, okay, there you go. You found it somewhere.
Yes, I found it on sale.
And this is
Paid
one of those
$7. It gets a 7.
As we go to break, we'll leave you with this note. If you find that cigar for a 7, buy it. Buy as many as you can, and I'll buy them from you.
Yes,
because that's just how we do. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toast. That was very crisp,
I was doing the slow, dramatic opening.
like a crisp Kolsch. Say that 3 times really fast. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toast, and our program is all about. It's the Greek the liqueur that got me.
Oh, yeah.
Program.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that even a Greek thing? I don't know. Probably not. Anyway, welcome back to the show. We're all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand rolled cigars. And we're going to be trying this jelly donut sour. And Ian's pouring it, and it looks like a fruit punch in the cup.
Oh.
It's just. I'm just going to hold one of these up.
Look at the color
That
on
just
that.
looks like a
I
fruit
just started
punch.
giggling as I was pouring it.
Yeah, so, all right, we'll get to that in a moment. First, before we do, it's time for today's drinking fact, and here's Terry to bring us the intro.
All right. And now it's
Thank you.
time for another Smoking and Toasting drinking fact.
This feature has long outlasted its usefulness, but I love that fanfare so much, we just keep coming back to it. So, thank you. So our drinking fact for today, the oldest recorded recipe in the world, you would assume is probably for bread, right? Bread making, going back in the day. But it's not. Ladies and gentlemen, the oldest recorded recipe in the world is for beer.
Yeah.
Love
Yep.
this
Ancient
fact.
Sumerians were brewing around the year 6000 BCE. So that would be 6,000 years before Christ. The ancient Sumerians were brewing.
Wow.
And this is my favorite part of this, they even worshipped Ninkasi, the goddess of beer.
Oh,
You know,
I
that's
love
not
me
one
some.
you hear of too often.
Love
when you
me
hear
some
of,
Ninkasi. Yes, that's why I said for a teaser, I said, "All hail Ninkasi, the goddess of beer."
we need to make some shirts.
Yeah, we do.
Oh.
That would be a great idea.
Yes.
All hail Ninkasi, Smoking and Toasting. You know,
Like
I've
maybe we
heard
need
of-
maybe we need drinking fact shirts.
yeah.
That would be pretty
Oh.
amazing.
Yeah, with just a drinking fact on them,
Yep.
and then a picture of Ninkasi, the goddess of beer, on the front.
That'd be the logo.
We'll have to look up in Wikipedia and see if there are any illustrations of what Ninkasi supposedly looked like. You know,
Ninkasi.
normally, I don't go in for the worshiping gods thing, but I will tell you, Ninkasi, there's a goddess worthy of worship. You know, I mean, I'm already pretty excited about it. We live here in Houston. We're one of the country's greatest breweries, St. Arnold Brewery. Their whole thing is around
The
St.
patron
Arnold,
saint
the
of-
patron saint of brewers, right?
Brewers, yes.
Which I think is a real thing.
Yes.
And I'm sure Ninkasi must be. So Ninkasi, we will pause now on every show to take a moment to respect and awe Ninkasi, the goddess of beer. I think that's something we should absolutely do. Speaking of beer, Ian has poured us some beer that looks like fruit punch here. This is...
It not only looks like fruit punch, it smells like fruit punch.
This is Jelly Fingers. That's the name of the beer. It comes from the Heavy Reel Brewing Company, and it's a jelly donut sour. What does it say along the side of the can there, Ian? It's a little more descriptive. Flip it over.
It says jelly donut sour ale with strawberry, raspberry, and cinnamon.
Okay. Well,
also, I was appreciating the artwork on here, which looks basically like a gold and red picnic blanket, right?
Yeah, yes. Right.
And I was looking at it a moment ago thinking, oh, they put like a cool little wrinkle. No, it's actually just a wrinkle in the...
A wrinkle in the can label. Yeah.
Can label is funny.
Well, I'll tell you, the first sniff you take of this, the first thing on the nose, it smells exactly like one of those, I don't know what you call, I guess they are a jelly roll, but those pastries that are about that big around, and in the middle they've got a glob of...
That's called a kolache.
Jelly. No, it's not a kolache.
No, he's talking about a jelly donut, like a jelly. Are you doing the actual jelly donut like over at Shipley's?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, what I'm thinking of, it's like a flat pastry, though. It's not quite as round as a donut.
Oh.
And in the middle, it doesn't necessarily have a hole, but it has a little indentation, and there's a glob
on top. It's the on top where you can see the...
That's what
yes,
that's
I know
what
what
this
you're
smells
talking
like
about.
to me.
Yes, those. It does. I can see that. That's very accurate.
Have you guys taken a taste of this yet?
No, but it smells like...
I have, and it's like...
It smells like jelly and pastry.
That's exactly what it tastes like. It really is.
It tastes exactly like what it should taste like.
About 100 pounds ago, I swore off donuts, and still that was 100 pounds ago. But one can only imagine if I hadn't.
What crazy thing have they harnessed here?
Yeah.
Now the cinnamon,
this is delicious.
The cinnamon is real strong in the first sip.
Yeah.
Unless as you go to the second and third sip, you don't notice the cinnamon as much.
What kind of sorcery and witchcraft is this?
This is wonderful.
This is crazy alien voodoo.
Yes.
And it's also really good.
Man, this is the kind of stuff you need to wake up to every morning.
Yeah, this beer is not just for breakfast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is so outrageously good. Normally something this sweet and this like just big with the jelly flavor, I would almost be turned off by it. But this is
to be
fantastic.
honest, if it weren't for the show, I never would have bought this.
Absolutely.
Like this is not something I would look at on the shelf and go, "Oh, I want to buy that." For
this
myself.
is something I might buy and just have one can to split with friends.
I would now, though. I would.
But
buy
yeah,
it.
this is pretty darn good.
This is one of those beers you keep in your beer fridge until the friends come over, and you're like, "You guys are not going to believe this."
Yeah,
you know?
check this out.
It almost tastes more like a sweet soda. Like some sort of Fanta drink,
like a Big Red or a Fanta.
Red, Fanta, Fago.
Is Big Red a Texas only thing? I think it may be.
Big Red, I'm not. It may be, and then Fago is up in the north, like for our Battle Creek listeners up there.
Yeah.
And but
we did a beer that was Big Red a while back. I can't remember the name of it.
Big Red though is a little more like Red Hot Candies tasting than this. This is a little sweeter and jellier, but still, this is really an amazing thing. Now, I'm not suggesting, I'm going to drink this a 6-pack at a time.
No,
but
not at all.
boy is it interesting and fun.
Yeah. No, but like this is something like me and my wife could split a can of and just let it be like a starter drink.
Yeah. Yes.
This almost this will set the tone for the
dessert
evening.
after dinner.
Yes.
Like really right after dinner.
But I like
that.
your concept of starter drink. That's a
starter drink.
Yeah, that's right. That's like the appetizer. The appetizer to the drinking.
That's right.
It's dessert for dinner, appetizer for drinking.
I love it. Tell you about the cigar that I smoked this week.
Look how thick it is.
The cigar that I smoked this week, a very long name. It's the Caldwell Long Live the Queen Maduro Box Pressed Wild Card. Did you review this cigar?
I have not. I have it sitting. I almost did it last night.
Yeah,
but I decided I wanted that Melanio instead.
Well, when it comes to naming their various lines of cigars, the Caldwell Cigar Company is probably the most creative in the world of tobacco.
They're pretty fun.
Yeah. From the King is Dead to Mad Mofo to Blind Man's Bluff, the company crafts unique cigars, often using
Blind Man's Puff, isn't it?
Actually, it's Blind Man's Bluff.
Oh, it is Blind Man's
Blind Man's Puff is
that's a website.
A website where the guy reviews cigars.
I like that guy.
Yeah. Anyway, the company crafts unique cigars, often using rare tobacco, and they name them in a way to make them stand out for the crowd. So I thought I would see if the Long Live the Queen Maduro Box Pressed Wild Card lives up to the hype. Spoiler alert. It kind of does.
It's a pricey cigar.
It kind of does. The Queen, for short, we'll call it the Queen, Maduro Box Press Wild Card, follows the 2022 release of the first Long Live the Queen blend, which used a Cameroon wrapper and was named Cigar Aficionado's number 14 cigar of the year for 2023.
Nice.
The Queen Maduro Wild Card uses a Mexican San Andres wrapper instead of the Cameroon, and it's draped over an Indonesian Sumatra binder and uses filler tobacco from the Dominican Republic and the United States, but Caldwell doesn't tell us where in the U.S. that tobacco is from. I'm guessing it's Connecticut broadleaf, but I could be wrong. Anyway, one of the first things I noticed about the cigar is that it has a very smooth, very box-pressed outer wrapper. The band completes a gorgeous and mouth-watering picture. You can see this here if you're watching the video, so I could not wait to get this baby fired up. I did a pre-light sniff first, picking up earth and baking chocolate with a little bit of spice coming in as well on the cold draw, and then I lit it up, and I got a wonderful swirling mix of flavors in the first few puffs, including oak, a toasty nuttiness, rich earth, and black pepper on the finish, which was a really nice combo. By the second third, a cocoa powder note began weaving its way into the mix, and the toastiness kicked up a notch. Black pepper and oak both remained, and the finish showed just a hint of dark coffee. Final third, toasted oak, earth, black pepper, and coffee all remained, but were joined by a sweet tobacco note and baking spices.
Sounds delicious.
The Long Live the Queen Maduro Box Pressed Wild Card started out medium in strength and finished closer to medium to full, about halfway between medium and full. An interesting thing regarding the construction happened with this cigar as I smoked it. In the first third, the burn got really crooked. So I left it alone for a while to see what it would do, and it didn't appear to want to self-correct. So I decided to hit it with a couple of blasts from my lighter to burn away the unburned portion of the wrapper, and even out the ash line, and it totally worked. Not only did it not give me any harshness from the extra flame, but the stick burned pretty well the rest of the way down. I did one more tiny touch up at about the halfway point, and that all seemed to keep it on track. The reason I mention all of that is if a cigar needs a touch up, and the touch-up works with no harshness, and, I don't have to keep doing it over and over again as it smokes, that really doesn't bother me on a cigar. Sure, it'd be nice if the burn line was razor sharp all the way down. That's always very impressive. But as long as it's just one or two touch-ups and it doesn't hamper the enjoyment of the cigar, I'm not going to take points off my price to quality score.
Yeah, if you're not getting like the hard puffs,
right,
where you're puffing but you're not getting any smoke out of it, things like that,
or it's burning in such a crooked way that it's really impacting the flavor of the cigar. And that was not the case in this. It was just little touch-ups, and from there on, it burned pretty well. Price, however, is a thing with this cigar. It's an $18 purchase. And so that makes me set my standards pretty high. For me, that's an ultra premium smoke at $18,
yes.
Right? And it needed to have a pretty good wow factor. And despite needing a couple of touch-ups, the wow factor was absolutely solid.
Love it.
On this cigar. I enjoyed smoking it a lot. The flavors complemented each other very well. Complexity was excellent. The overall experience was as good as anything I've smoked in a long time. So, even at $18, I'm going to recommend it. If you want to treat yourself to an ultra premium, you could do a lot worse than this baby.
Right.
The Caldwell Long Live the Queen Maduro Box Pressed Wild Card, price to quality, solid 5.
Nice.
At $18.
Getting everything you're paying for.
Yeah,
That's really
absolutely,
nice.
absolutely.
Yeah, mine has been.
I don't review a lot of $18 cigars because I'm a cheap bastard, So
mine has been in my humidor taunting me when I open it.
You're going to be so happy.
Yeah,
I think,
maybe that'll be in the next couple weeks.
I'm super excited to see what you think of it because I was really quite impressed. Quite impressed. So, all right. Coming up on the show, we got a few things I think are going to be really interesting to talk about. We still have beers to taste: the McConauhaze Hazy IPA, the New Image and Primitive Beer Sugar Moon Belgian-Style barrel-aged barley wine. We'll taste some Weller 12. We'll tell you about some cigars to watch for, but I wanted to pass this along because I found this just super disappointing. You know how we've talked about generational tobacco bans and the fact that they say, okay, if you were born after this year, you're not allowed to buy tobacco. Not just that would change every year.
Crazy.
But that it would remain fixed. So if you say right now, all right, if you're born after 2015, you can't buy tobacco ever.
That's crazy.
That looks like it's going to happen in the UK. So we always talk about like how states like California are so regulatory and restrictive when it comes to cigar laws. Ian's ongoing joke is that in California you can smoke anywhere you want to, as long as
it's not inside or outside.
Right, exactly. So, but
unless it's weed,
right,
which then you can smoke anywhere you want to.
But as restrictive as that is, the UK is going a step further, and I don't think of England as being more restrictive in things like this. But in this case, it appears they are. They're poised to implement a generational tobacco ban this year, which would make it the only nation in the world to have this kind of legislation at the national level. I find it a real infringement of rights, but
yeah, I mean,
I understand keeping kids from smoking. I get it. I'm fully support that. But once you're an adult, you can make your own decisions.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I shudder to think what my life would be like if I didn't have the opportunity to chill out and smoke a cigar.
Are they just, I mean, is that something that, say you have a cigar place there, a cigar shop? I mean, is that something you're just preparing for? Okay, well, eventually won't be any more customers.
Eventually you're out of business. In fact,
that's it.
The Davidoff store in London that's world renowned. People come from all over to visit that. It's like a bucket list cigar shop, and those people who run that are they say they're very concerned. The big problem for them, they say, is that from their view, it's been such an undemocratic, uninformed piece of legislation, and they did not do all of the normal forms of consultation, talking with how this would impact business, what could be done besides
how will
a
impact
maneuver
business?
That's harsh. Yeah,
that is literally taking a generation and driving you out of business.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we will drive ourselves out of business here if we don't take a break. We'll be right back. It is Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back at Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We're glad you're here.
Those things.
Yeah. Speaking of beer, craft or not, you had to be a little suspicious of this from the very beginning. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to try Kirkland Light, which they sell or sold. It's no longer available.
Costco?
At Costco, yes. And the Kirkland Light beer was $22 for a 48 pack.
Oh,
so that's
boy.
around 50 cents a can.
You know, I feel like there's a market there.
Yeah,
I really feel like there's a market there.
Well, apparently there really kind of wasn't, because the beer was basically touted by drinkers as being so bad that Kirkland Signature, the Costco, standard line, finally pulled the plug on this, adding it to a long list of discontinued Costco products we may never eat or drink again. I read an article about this. The article says Oasis might have sung "Don't Look Back" in anger, but they probably hadn't tasted Kirkland Light beer. And there's a Reddit thread where people talked about it, and I just want to read you two quotes from this Reddit article, which has had over 4,000 upvotes in 2 days. One writer, a disgusted customer, said, "Barf. I swear it tasted like pond water with Necco wafers dissolved in it." Now, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Another one wrote, "I am not a proud man. I will drink Coors Light, Natty Light, warm beer, open beer, someone else's beer. This might have been the only beer I have ever thrown away whatever was left."
Wow.
Yeah.
You have to wonder where they got it. What was the source of that? I mean, I'm sure they didn't brew it themselves. They must have bought it off the bottom of someplace.
And by the way,
something?
I'll show this to the camera, but
that's very Natty Light looking.
That is what the case looked like, the case of 48.
Oh, yeah.
Back when Costco served it.
That is
That's
very
a
Natty Light looking.
Photo for the article, yeah. And you can just tell by looking at that this is not going to even be as good as back when they did the generic beer and it was the white can and it just said beer on it. Yeah, it's going to be worse than that. But that got me to wondering, Ian, what do you think? If I were to ask just you for your opinion, And I did give you a heads up on this, so you had a chance to think about this.
Well, I have opinions.
Yeah, I know you do, but I didn't want to put you on the spot. So, what would you say are your top 3 worst beers that you've ever had?
All right. So the first one I'm going to put on that list is to shout out to Chris Hart, Montucky Cold Snack.
That's so interesting.
That's a terrible beer.
Yeah, it's also my number 3 on my list. By the way.
And people drink this stuff all the time. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I would almost drink warm Bud Light
Oh, I would totally drink warm Bud Light
than
before
Montucky Cold Snack. And that's saying a lot because warm Bud Light's
Yeah.
pretty atrocious.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
I mean, Bud Light's pretty atrocious anyway, but like warm it up.
Of all the beers that we're going to mention here, Montucky Cold Snack is the only one, I think, that kind of has a reputation of not being that bad.
It's not
But
good.
I think it's awful.
But see, when you say something's not bad,
Right.
it doesn't mean it's good either. I think it's terrible. I think it's terrible. Next up on my, and these are not in any particular order. This is just how I wrote them down. But next up on the list is Heineken Light.
Oh.
It's atrocious.
Yeah.
It's bad. And Heineken in the green bottle is not very good. However, if you buy Heineken little mini keg,
Yeah.
where it's never seen sunlight,
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
it's
yeah.
actually not a bad beer.
Yeah.
Right? But Heineken Light is atrocious. It's terrible. And then the other one, probably one of my all-time ones, is Big Flats 1901.
I don't think I've had Big Flats 1901.
You can't get it anymore.
Okay.
But this
so
is like...
good
There you
because
go.
I as soon as he mentioned that,
Well,
and
it's
I thought I
funny that
haven't
you
had
talked
it,
about the
I thought
Kirkland beer
he's going to
because
bring it for beverage
Big
mystery.
Flats 1901 was the house beer from Walgreens.
Walgreens had a house beer. Oh,
It was
amazing.
$3, $2.99 for a 6-pack.
See, I know they've got stuff like that at Trader Joe's, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
It
most
was
of it, you know?
$2.99 for a 6-pack. Okay.
Wow.
And I bought a 6-pack once because
It was $2.99.
Let's I've spent $3 on way worse stuff.
Yeah, sure.
I've made way worse monetary decisions in my life. And anyway, I bought, and I could not get through. I could not get more than a couple sips past. As a matter of fact, my brother came into town and I was telling him all about this beer and hyping it up. I was like, "We're gonna have a beer, right?" So sit down. I took a sip and I'm trying not to like die laughing. Then he takes
Waiting
a sip
for
and
him,
the
yeah.
look on his face was just precious.
Well, I'll give you my top 3 worst beers, and mine are in order. At number 3, Montucky Cold Snack. You put that one out
You
there,
nailed it.
and it's totally one of the worst. At number 2, Bud Light Lime. This is what I refer to as the furniture polish beer.
Specifically with that lime.
If you've always wanted to
Flavor.
drink lemon pledge that had just a little tint of alcohol to it, this is the
And
beer
you might
want.
think, wouldn't it be lime pledge? No, it actually tastes more like lemon.
Yeah, that's right. Bud Light Lime, but it tastes like
So
lemon
you're just
pledge.
basically talking about I was cleaning the coffee table and
Yeah.
I spilt my beer and then I licked it.
That's exactly what it's like. That's exactly what it's like. But me, number 1, and far ahead of 2 and 3 for me, Dos Equis Mexican Pale Ale.
Oh, you brought that in once. It was pretty horrible.
The vilest, vilest or most vile. It's the most vile beer I've ever had. It's the only beer I've ever bought, taken basically 2 sips of, and poured the rest of a 6-pack down the drain. It's that
You
bad.
did bring one in on the show.
That's true. I poured 5 down the drain and brought one in on the show. But that beer is
It
horrible.
was bad. It was bad.
It really, really is horrible. So sorry that you missed out on Kirkland Light, but you seem to have plenty of other.
I mean, and I
things
could
to-
go. I could go on with some honorable mentions.
Oh, sure,
too, but
sure. That's the reason I did it at 3, though. I said let's keep this. Let's keep this pure. All right. Before we go to break, you poured a beer which I'm hoping will be better. It is McConauhaze.
Now, when you were saying McConauhaze, I didn't think it was McConauhaze as in hazy IPA. McConauhaze. Now it makes sense.
So my review of this beer, now that I've sipped it. All right.
Thank
it
you.
is all
You
right.
knew that was coming.
I wanted that to be what was
okay.
that. Yeah.
Good. At least you wanted it.
I was hoping.
I feel like there are listeners right now who went, I can't believe he did that, and I'm a little embarrassed of it myself.
A little too on the
would have
nose.
been. I would have been disappointed if it hadn't.
But this is really good. This is really good, and I can see this being a sort of a state of Texas sort of statewide treasure in the same way as Mr. McConaughey himself.
It doesn't leave you hazed and confused.
I don't know why he didn't run for governor. He would have totally won.
Not yet.
We got to take a break. We'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. It's not exactly like the popping of a cork, but it's still got its own sort of special.
You did
sound.
good. I mean, it did make a sound instead of you.
Welcome back to Hour 2, Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, and we are heard every week on really interesting and great radio stations around the country. We're very, very proud of that, by the way. We're heard on stations like News Talk, 1230 a.m., KBAR in Burley, Idaho. Greetings, Burley, Idaho. We're glad to have you on the program. It's a very cool thing. I wanted to share with you, because in this segment here on the show, we're going to be, Ian has been gracious enough to bring in a bottle that he obtained of Weller 12. We talk about Weller 12 on the show a lot. It's kind of a benchmark, but we've never actually, the best of my knowledge, we've never actually reviewed it.
I don't remember what year it was. I think, was it last year that it was deemed like the best whiskey in the world?
I think it has been named a couple of times to a couple of different lists of that type. So I'm pretty sure it's something that most people who are into whiskey are at least on the lookout for on a very regular basis.
Now, you said you got this one
best
regular.
in class double gold whiskeys of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it wins all the time.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I'm trying to find. Oh, here we go. So I thought this would be a good time, as we're about to taste and talk about what the profiles are of Weller 12. I thought this would be a good time to share with you the results of an article on a website called Tasting Table. They did an article recently that I stumbled across: the 13 best liquor stores for rare spirits in the United States.
Nice.
Now, the caveat here would be this article came out like about a month ago. So these stores may have all been picked clean, exactly. But if you live in one of these areas,
saw the article.
If you live in one of these areas, you might want to try it. The first one is in New York City. It's called Astor Wines and Spirits, ASTOR, Astor Wines and Spirits. It's New York City's largest wine and spirits shop, but they draw in quite the crowd, and they've been around for a long time, and they apparently get their hands on quite a bit of the rare stuff. So something to look for. On the West Coast, Costa Mesa, California, has a place called High Time, HI-TIME, High Time Wine Cellars. Costa Mesa is the location for this, and they are on the list as well. But you say, fine, that's great for the West Coast and the East Coast, but I live in Covington, Kentucky. Well, you're in luck. The Revival Vintage Bottle Shop in Covington, Kentucky is a great place to list. And I'm just from the picture in the article, I'm booking a flight to Kentucky right now. This place looks amazing.
A vintage bottle shop.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Looks amazing. Davico Liquors in Thornton, Colorado. Looks kind of like, it was an old shop and save, and they converted it to a liquor store from the photo of the outside. But they're just outside of Denver in the unexpected burbs of Thornton, Colorado, the article says. And it is the world's largest liquor store.
Really?
And I find that hard to believe, because I shop at the Midtown Specs here, and I was convinced that was the world's largest liquor store.
Road Trip.
It's huge. Yeah, Road Trip is coming up for sure. Now, I love this next name. This is for those of you from Chicago. The House of Glunz. Glunz, the House of Glunz, Chicago's favorite destination for all things wines and spirits. It's been a staple in the Windy City since 1888. House of Glunz. They say it's more of a community than than your average liquor store, and apparently very unique. So check that out if you're in Chicagoland or visiting. And then in Birmingham, Alabama, Linnell's Beverage Boutique. Down at Linnell's, they say they live off the motto, better drinking for better living. I kind of dig that. So that's a place to check out. And then just a completely different vibe and style. This one looks more like a Costco. The Party Source in Bellevue, Kentucky. So, by the way, Kentucky scoring 2 on this list.
Wow.
That's kind of a big deal. The Party Source kind of looks like those are going out of business now, but like the Party Cities except it's all liquor. Instead, there's no like balloons and magicians outfits for little kids.
It knows what the source of the party really is.
That's right. Barkeeper in Los Angeles, California, they say is a very hip liquor store, and it's another shop that caters to bartenders and cocktail lovers alike. It's been running since 2006, and it is in the Silver Lake region of Los Angeles. Here's another one from New York, Collizione, Collizione, Collizione in New York City. All of the stores in this list, they say, are special in their own right, but Collizione is an entirely different experience. Equally professional, and they say they don't joke around, however, when it comes to rare spirits. They offer a unique upscale shopping experience, so you can read into that. Probably pretty expensive, but if you're looking, they're more likely to have it than
these are individual stores. They're not like chains.
These
at
are
all.
not
These
necessarily chains. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
They're Spencer and Lynn wine and spirits merchants in Mystic, Connecticut, and Mystic, Connecticut's an interesting little town. So you can wander around and find a lot of cool shops and stuff like that. It's very cool. And the Bourbon Concierge in Washington D.C. It's not your.
I would go
average
to a
liquor
place
store.
called the Bourbon Concierge.
Totally. They cater to the bourbon obsessed, but they're just as eager to inspire and educate first timers. So you might check those guys out. And finally, Bitters and Bottles in San Francisco. Bitters and Bottles. And again, you should really look this up at tastingtable.com, this article, because the photos are kind of delightful just to go through. So one more, Intoxicology in St. Louis.
Intoxicology.
It says here St. Louis MI, which would be Michigan. Do you know if there's a St. Louis in Michigan? It may just be a misprint. It may be supposed to be MO, St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah.
I have lived in St. Louis before. I do not remember the shop, but I think it's not been around quite that long. So Intoxicology, though. Love the name. Intoxicology. That would have been a good name for the show if we hadn't come up with Smoking and Toasting. But anyway, those are the places you are more likely, the writers of this article say, to find some of the rare spirits you're looking for, including maybe just something like Weller 12, which isn't necessarily rare, but isn't always available.
it's showing up in
St. Louis is coming up as south of Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
Huh. But Intoxicology,
in Michigan.
When I just type in Intoxicology,
it's right here.
You got it?
Oh, yeah, but you know what?
The hand you're doing.
But
hand thing.
Further down, by the way, in the article, though, it gives their web address, which is intoxicologystl.com.
Yeah.
And their phone number, which is 314 Exchange, which I remember from living in St. Louis. That is a St. Louis.
Yeah, if
exchange.
you just go to Google Maps and you type in Intoxicology, it shows up as the one place in St. Louis, Missouri. Yep.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So now we know.
But the hand was
But
just
now we know that
Yeah, the
there's
hand was
also
This is
a
why
St.
you
Louis, Michigan.
This is why you should always watch the video version of the
That's
show.
right, Battle Creek.
Because
We're talking
you missed a great hand analogy there. It was very well done.
I was at a birthday party the other night, and I don't remember. Charlie from Charlie and the Regrets was standing there, and he was holding his hand out like this, and he was talking to another guy about it. And I just walked up into the conversation. I said, "Oh, I got some family that lives right in this part of Michigan."
That's pretty. That's an insider Michigan joke for those of you who are not Michiganders. So you might be able to go to any of these stores and find some Weller 12 from time to time. Ian has been kind enough to pour us some for today. We've talked about this spirit a lot on the show. So first of all, Ian, what is if you're not paying secondary market price, what should you expect to pay for a bottle of this at any of these liquor
Between
stores?
40 and 50.
Okay, it's between 40 and 50. So I looked online recently and saw it in more the 140 area. So that's more like
That's
secondary
secondary,
pricing. Yeah. Okay. So
And you can buy it all day long. There's people who sell it at secondary 100. If you want to spend $150 on it, I refuse to engage in secondary market when it comes to this. I don't want to be on either side of it. Because I think it's a little unfair when you're buying up something to keep other people from getting it at that price, so you can just jack up the price.
Kind of
Right.
price
I mean, I
gouging.
get it. Do you?
Kinda
But
like
I'm
ticket
just not going to.
scalpers.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
ticket
it's
scalpers.
literally what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're scalping basically the whiskey. And I buy it to drink it. I buy it
And-
to enjoy it. I buy it to have for friends when they come over.
Yes.
And by the
Yeah.
way, thank
know.
you, ticket scalpers, because you jerks are the people who convinced Live Nation that they could charge us these much higher prices for tickets, and we would pay them.
Yeah.
because that's what you were selling them for.
Yes.
Don't get me started. Break up that monopoly.
Oh,
please.
for sure.
Yeah, we're not on any Live Nation stations, are we? I don't think we are.
I don't think we are.
Yeah, screw them.
Yeah.
We're not anymore anyway.
Well, listen,
Weller 12, the original weeded bourbon, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, coming in at 45%, or 90 proof, if you will. Born in 1825, William LaRue Weller was one of the early whiskey pioneers in America. W.L. Weller marketed his original bourbon recipe with wheat rather than rye in the mash bill. Weller spent his lifetime educating consumers about the differences in his bourbon. Wheat is a soft grain, providing this bourbon with a mild, gentle, and smooth sipping experience. Weller also believed the importance of aging his whiskey. This fine 12-year-old bourbon whiskey has a deep amber color with complex flavors of vanilla, oak, and cinnamon, a tribute to the man who made weeded bourbon legendary.
you know what I would say about this, just as a simple way of sort of culminating all the thought. This is what whiskey is supposed to taste like. That's how I would describe Weller 12.
And I buy the Special Reserve all the time. Now, the Special Reserve is not as old as the Green Label. And for the Special Reserve, the combat bottle of Special Reserve is $50.
Right.
And you can find it most places. It's pretty popular, so it's a little hard to find, but you can find it most places. And that's one of my daily go-tos. You know, like that's
How would you contrast it to this?
well, it's similar, but it's not as complex. This is more complex. This has a lot more. It's like it's like going from a
That's the Green Label you're comparing it to?
it's like going from a Miata to a Porsche.
Okay.
You know, they're both cool.
Nothing wrong with the Miata.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you know,
I was single and 30 once.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing wrong with the Miata.
so
Right? Am I right?
you know,
yeah, you're right.
I'm not
and
out
sometimes I get the old granddad, and that's a little bit like the Honda Del Sol,
Yeah.
right? But
Or what's the one? There's a convertible. It's like the least expensive convertible that you can buy, and the name is escaping me now. I'll think of it, but yeah, it's not necessarily a sports car. It's just a convertible.
yeah, this just has a lot more. The Weller 12 has a lot more refinement to it. The Weller Special
Okay, yeah.
Reserve is great whiskey.
Yeah.
Especially at the price point. As a matter of fact, the price point has gone up so much, man. When we started this show, I was drinking Weller Special Reserve at $18 a bottle.
Wow. Yeah.
And now it's $28 or $30 for the same bottle.
How much is this bottle?
This is 50-ish. When you find it
That's what you
in
got
the
it
wild,
at,
yeah.
in
This
the
and this
wild
is
when
the
you got it?
750. So this was
Okay.
50-ish.
when
in
we
the
started
wild.
this show, I was drinking Skelly, the tequila, at $28 a bottle. It is now almost $100 a bottle. You can find it for like $89, $87 certain places. But yeah.
Wow.
Well, Weller 12, this has a great flavor
So
profile.
good.
You get the a little bit of bubble gum on the back. You get the cinnamon. You get the maple. I think it's the minerality is there. It's just a wonderful, wonderful.
This set the stage. This is what weeded bourbon tastes like. You know, if you want your straight up bourbon taste, you want to know exactly what bourbon's supposed to taste like. You got Wild Turkey,
Right.
right? If you want weeded bourbon, you got Weller.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll be right back at Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, this program is called Smoking and Toasting. We are all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Just one segment away from drinking news, the most popular portion of the program. We'll get to that in just a few moments. But speaking of drinking, we're drinking the Weller 12 in the last, and I didn't want to like gloss over this because this is it's a if you say basic, it almost sounds
brilliant.
like you're discounting it, and I'm not. This is what whiskey is supposed to taste like. I think
Yeah,
was the way we said it.
this is weeded whiskey.
Yeah.
Like this is the definition, kind of. Like you
The
know,
standard bearer.
I
It's
stated
the-
right before we went to break there. I stated that if you want to know what bourbon tastes like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
like straight up bourbon, Wild Turkey.
Right.
And I truly believe if you don't like wild turkey, you just don't like bourbon.
Really like bourbon, yeah.
Because what's not like about it? Like, all its iterations are fantastic. And this is weeded bourbon. This is that softer on the palate. It's a little sweeter right up front. And it's a different kind of sweet. It's got a silkier kind of sweet to it, and it's absolutely fantastic. And you get this in the whole line of Weller. Like every Weller is going to have that weeded taste,
slightly sweeter on the front. Yeah,
and it's just a little bit different. It's so good. So if you can't find the Weller 12, good luck if you can. But if you can't find the Weller 12, you won't be disappointed with the Weller Special Reserve. And
Absolutely.
if you can find Weller 12, you're doing great. If you can find the Antique 107 or any of the others, the Full Proof or any of those, you will be amazing.
Put it right there so you can have it on. They can see which one.
Yeah,
you
so
got
that's
right there.
that's just
Put
the
it right
the
next
black
to the-
label.
Put it right next to the beer.
just the regular old Weller 12.
Right
yeah.
there. Yeah.
When I say
black
regular old, you're be excited when you find it. That's what I mean by regular old. Speaking of being excited, we're finally going to follow through on a promise that we made originally at the beginning of the year, which was that we would bring you the list of the top 25 cigars of the year. Now, we got to the Cigar Aficionado one in one of the first shows that we did after we came back from break. But I really love
The
Cigar
Cigar
Snob.
Aficionado is recognized as, I think, as the most popular one.
I think so.
And
yeah.
it will change a cigar maker's life if they get number one.
Oh, 100%. But I will say, just as a fan or an aficionado, if you must, of cigars, I actually get more excited every month when my Cigar Snob magazine comes
I like
in.
Cigar Snob.
Or it's every other month, but I
great
really
name.
like it. Yeah, it really is. So when they put out their top 25 list, I always pay attention because they just come across as maybe a little less corporate to me than Cigar
They also
Aficionado.
come across with, these are cigars you can actually go buy.
And that's really important. So let's run down their list. Starting at number 25 with a cigar I really love. Don't buy a lot because it's a little expensive. It's the Ashton VSG.
Yes, that's a good cigar.
And it is really good. It's made at Tabacalera e Fuente in the Dominican Republic. They use an Ecuadorian wrapper, Dominican binder, and filler from the DR. But if you're one of those people who said, I don't really like Dominican cigars, go smoke this one. I'm telling you,
it's fantastic.
It's wonderful.
And it is expensive. It's $18-ish.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's worth every penny on that one.
It really is. At number 24, West Tampa Tobacco Company Red. I have not had
I
this
just
cigar.
had one of these
Did
like
you
a
really?
couple weeks ago.
And what did you
it's
think?
Real good.
Wrapper from Mexico, binder from Nicaragua, filler from Nicaragua. It's about an $11 cigar, and it got very high ratings from Cigar Snob. Came in at number 24. The Altezas Reales, 1871, a cigar I not only have not smoked but haven't actually seen.
I've never seen
It's
that
from
one
the
either.
El Titan de Bronze Cigar Factory in Miami. Ecuadorian wrapper, Nicaraguan binder and filler. It's a $19 Robusto, but apparently it's pretty good according to these guys. The HVC Selección number 1 Maduro
Yes,
is number
buddy.
22 on this list. You've had this one, and
That's a great one, too. That's coming in at 12-ish, right?
actually, it says here the MSRP on it is $8.80.
Oh, even better. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. Now, I have had this one, the La Aurora Preferidos Gold Corojo, although I have not had one in a while, and I need to go back and
I don't think I've
revisit.
had that one.
Well, this is one of the ones, the ones that
Comes
come
in
in
a
those,
tubo,
those gleaming metal tubes.
Yes.
And they're like $28, so they are expensive, but they are made by La Aurora. It's all Dominican wrapper and binder with filler from Brazil, Nicaragua, and Peru. So, number 20 on the list, the Herrera Esteli Norteño.
That's
I've had this one.
cigar.
It's a wonderful cigar. $11 to $12 cigar. It's number 20 on the list. At 19, Warped Guardian of the Farm.
That's a great cigar.
Aganor Salif in Nicaragua. Okay, so I'm just going to mention this. This happens sometimes. I bought a 5-pack of these online because I've always thought of this as a really good cigar. And almost every one of them, the draw was so tight that I couldn't enjoy them.
Oh, no.
That's when I went out and bought the cigar tool that I have, that cigar tool.
Draw
The
right?
one, Perfect Draw.
A perfect draw.
Yeah, that I gave you one for Christmas.
Yes, and I love it.
But just be warned, it's a great cigar. 18 is Oscar Valadez's 2012 Sumatra. The
Oscar
2012
Valdez.
Sumatra. Yeah.
love his cigars.
The EP Carrillo Encore is at 17. Hard to argue
Carrillo
with that
love their
being on
cigars.
any list. Artisanal del Tobacco El Pulpo at 16. What's interesting about this cigar is it's the first one we've been on the list so far that was manufactured by some guy. I don't know, Ian, if you've ever heard of him. His name is AJ Fernandez.
That guy, he sounds familiar.
Yeah, and it's made at the San Latano factory in Nicaragua. It's a $17 cigar, and it's right here on the list. Okay, we'll finish up this list before the show is over, I promise. But coming up in our next segment, we will take a break from the list and bring you drinking news. It's Smoking a Toast. Welcome back. It is Smoking a Toast, and our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Ian, I hope it's okay, but while you were gone, I took the liberty of pouring myself some more whiskey from your Weller bottle. So
I told you I wouldn't tell.
Yeah. By the way, not for nothing, but my wife has noticed that when I come home on the days that I did the show, and when I brought in the spirit, she's noticed that seems like lately there's less and less of the spirit left in the bottle than there was in earlier iterations of the show. I don't know what that's all about, but I just thought I'd
Well,
mention
we're
it.
recording the show a little earlier nowadays.
True,
So we have more time.
But that must be what it is. Speaking of time, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the most popular segment on this show. It is time for Drinking News.
Drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. A Florida man with one arm said he had a gator for a pet. When asked about his absent arm, he said,
I had to take my gator to the vet.
drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all. Drinking News, if you are new to the show, Drinking News is the segment of the program where we bring you a story that has been in the news somewhere. It's not a parody story or you know.
It's not the Onion article.
Yeah, it's not the Onion. Yeah, exactly. It was
Which
reported
are very
in the
funny,
news.
but,
yeah, right. It was reported in the news, though, and so now we have to share it with you because that's just kind of what we
It's
do.
what
here.
we do.
So, yeah. So, you know, I guess maybe it's because I'm getting old, but I have never really...
A lot of things are happening
Yeah.
since we're getting old.
never really understood TikTok. You know, I guess videos
The
of
TikToks.
people dancing and lip syncing songs can be fun, but I don't get why something like that would rack up millions of views. I mean, you know, look, I like Chumbawamba just as much as the next guy.
I do not.
But do I really need to see you dancing in your underwear while you sing, I get knocked down, but I get up again? I'm thinking not really.
Tub thumping.
And also I'm thinking I gave you an earworm that you're going to hate me for later in the day.
I'm impervious to that one.
And the cereal video trend that went viral on the platform where you pour cereal into someone's open mouth and then milk, and then you get a spoon and eat the cereal out of their mouth. I mean, come on. I don't even like another person to breathe on me in the grocery store.
I thought we learned at COVID.
Yeah, much less allow me to use their mouth as a receptacle for my morning dose of Cap'n Crunch with Crunch Berries.
God.
You know? I mean, and look, it's,
What about the Tide Pod challenge, man?
yeah, exactly. I mean,
to me, this is Darwinism at its best, right?
probably so.
If you are that low of intelligence, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna finish that thought. Please go ahead.
And it's not just TikTok, which was banned and then not banned, and then it's probably going to be banned again in April. You see all this crazy stuff from cat videos to life hacks to do-it-yourself surgery all over other social media sites today as well. Like our main story on today's Drinking News, which involves a Taiwanian man.
I'm total of a loss,
I
man.
knew I
Come
was
on,
going
let's try it.
I knew I was going to send you for a loop with that one. A doctor named Chen Win-Yong, who recently posted a procedure on Instagram that has now been viewed over 4 million times.
For medical purposes.
Dr. Win-Yong, by the way, is not just a surgeon. He is a plastic surgeon.
He's like a surgeon.
So it stands to reason that if he's going to post a video of a procedure on Instagram, that it's probably a chin lift or, one of those things where they puff up a woman's lips to make her look like she's been attacked by bees or whatever the hell it is they did to Carrot Top's face to make him look like an alien on Star Trek, right?
That guy looks terrifying.
We're in orbit around Carrot Top 5, Captain. But no, this Instagram video is not a nose job or a cheek adjustment that our plastic surgeon from Taiwan performs. It's a procedure that he does on himself.
What?
Dr. Win Young took to Instagram to show everyone his chops, I'm doing air quotes, chops, as a surgeon by giving himself a vasectomy. It got really quiet in the studio.
I'm just going to go ahead and walk out of the room right now.
I was expecting a reaction, and instead I got, that's as quiet as it ever been in a 3-second gap on this show.
I have a meeting to go to for the rest of this one.
Hey, listen, I have a cat that I got to take in and, have have adjusted. And, it's a thing. Like, women don't think about that thing, but a guy is going to be like,
a vasectomy,
for the very first time,
as the Mayo Clinic informs us, is a form of male birth control in which the surgeon cuts and seals the tubes that carry sperm, thereby preventing fertilization during sex. This particular plastic surgeon and father of 3 said he decided to get snipped as a gift to his wife to ensure that the couple didn't have any more offspring.
I was wondering. I thought
Here,
maybe he was
honey,
trying to pick up
look what I got you. Ain't gonna get you no diamond ring. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now, if you're a mechanic and your car needs a tune-up, it makes perfect sense that you probably do that procedure yourself.
Work on your own car, yeah. Not for me, but some people, yeah.
If you're a carpenter and you need a new shed, you're probably going to handle the hammer and nails part of it on your own.
Hammer that nail.
Maybe even post it on Instagram.
Does anyone use nails anymore?
If you build and repair
Nail
guitars, like somebody I know, chances are that if your guitar needs some work, you're probably going to be very happy to perform that task yourself.
True.
But when it comes to using a scalpel in an area that may be considered the most sensitive part of your body, and where one little cut in the wrong direction can result in you not ever being able to have sex again, I think that not only would you find a plastic surgeon, or find a surgeon rather, who specializes in that particular thing, not someone whose income's primarily derived, from giving the Real Housewives of New Jersey bigger boobs. I'm just saying. And doing the surgery yourself? Are you kidding me? I don't even change my own oil for fear I'm going to screw something up on my car. Even if I were the best spermus interruptus doctor in the world, I think I'd probably let the second best surgeon handle the slicing and dicing in my nether region.
Was he successful?
In the video of his Instagram snippification, Dr. Win Young tells his viewers, "I am really brave," which I guess he is. I mean, I'd use another term, which I probably can't say here on Drinking News, but it rhymes with dumbass. Apparently, though, to answer your question, Terry, the procedure was a success. And
he deserved that.
Dr. Win Young is now happily infertile. He did say, according to the AI translated caption in the video, that, quoting the video, "It was a strange feeling to touch and suture my own urethra."
Nope.
You think? Honestly, I feel like this DIY thing and the
DIY
the accompanying social media videos have just gone too far. In fact, I think it's safe to say that some of these DIY videos are just simply beyond the pale. Which ones, you ask? Well, I thought you never would, because I prepared a sample for you in the form of another one of my seldom requested Drinking News Top 5 lists. And without your permission and against the advice of a psychologist whose video I watched on TikTok, I'd like to share that list with you now. This would be the top 5 unnecessary DIY videos that are most certainly beyond the pale. Number 5, DIY sushi, preparing your own puffer fish. Because puffer fish can be poisonous, if you.
We all learned that from The Simpsons. Come on,
Probably.
Homer thought he was going to die.
Okay, I thought I maybe needed to explain it, which always dampens the joke a little bit. So good to know that.
Thank you, Simpsons.
Top 5 unnecessary DIY videos, most certainly beyond the fail. Number 4, unclogging my own toilet after a big taco dinner. Number 3,
I've done that one.
how to hold fireworks and light them in your hand. Because that's always makes for a great video. Number 2, changing the baby's diaper in under 20 seconds. And the number 1 DIY, I don't want to see that. The number 1 DIY video trend that is beyond the pale. Number 1, diagnosing with a friend. Does this look infected to you?
Oh, no. No.
Reporting live from Taiwan, where Dr. Win Young...
Smell my finger.
Reporting live from Taiwan, where Dr. Win Young is now considering that his next video will be performing his own lobotomy. My name is Cruz, and that is your...
Drinking news. That's our time for drinking news.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Harold, get in here. I need you to watch this video. I don't want to have no more babies.
I mean, if it's all in the video, you should know exactly how to do it, right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Think about the money
DIY,
you'd save.
Yeah, sure.
You can pass these down.
Yeah, I think it's time to change the subject, don't you? There's 3 very uncomfortable male Homo sapiens in this room. So, why is it that that's so uncomfortable? Like why do guys get it? It's sort of like if somebody like. If somebody talks about, these guys got into a fight and the one guy got kicked in the nuts, I'm just uncomfortable hearing it. Like
because
physically,
because
uncomfortable hearing
exactly,
it, right?
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah, because you know what that feels like.
That's right.
I do not know what it feels like to get a vasectomy, but one can only imagine.
Or do it to yourself.
Yeah, I had a buddy who got one.
I had one too,
and he made the mistake of becoming sexually active too soon after the procedure.
Oh boy!
And found himself in some in some pain. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you who he is, but Kevin, that was the funniest thing you ever told me. All right, guys, we have a barley wine here to try, and I'm really excited, Ian, for you to try this because this is, in my mind,
I've been doing research.
It sounds like it's the type of barley wine that would be right up your alley. It's a Belgian-style barrel-aged barley wine.
Let's just talk about the physical properties of this.
Okay.
If you were to spill this and then set something on top of it, in about 17 minutes, you may never be able to separate those two things.
Is it also the type of thing where if you smoked a cigar close to it, you could set the world on fire?
This is a beautiful, beautiful beer.
This is from New Image Brewing and Primitive Beer. They collaborated to create Sugar Moon, a Belgian-style barrel-aged barley wine out of Wheat Ridge, Colorado, and I'm going to taste it now.
It says Primitive Beer. I love this. This is so good. This was
that is delicious.
This has been cellaring just a little bit too. It was brewed, bottled on the 16th of July last year.
16th.
So it's got just a little bit of age on it too. This is absolutely fantastic. It's sweet up front, like a barley wine, and right behind it, it is round and punchy. I'm sorry, sweet up front like a Belgian, and right behind it's round and punchy like a barley wine. It's fruity. It's got the kind of stone fruit and date kind of note in it.
You definitely get that sort of dried fruit cakey kind of a vibe.
Yes. It's so outrageously big. And
I'm really digging this, to be
on
honest with you. Yeah,
it's pretty outrageous too. It also is coming in at, where did I see it? I saw it a minute ago. 12 something percent.
Just to let you know, this stuff's going to cost you. I mean, this was not a cheap bottle. I could have bought a bottle of one of my favorite spirits for the same price that this cost me. And this we're going to open and drink in one sitting. Admittedly, the three of us, but that's almost where you have to go to get barley wine of this caliber, in my opinion. You're
Can't
not
find
going to
barley
get.
wines. I need
You're not
people.
going to find
I need
cheap barley
people.
wines.
I need you to start brewing barley wines.
So is that more of a $50 range or $35 range?
This one's about halfway in between.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's for one bottle, and it's not a 750 milliliter bottle either. It's just it's just a bottle that is
Large.
large. Yeah. But
Large-ish.
I dig it.
500 milliliter, by the way.
I'm going to try to run through a few more of these cigars while we all savor this barley wine from the Cigar
good.
Snob list, because we only have a couple minutes or less than a couple minutes left in this segment. The Cigar Snob list, the 25 best cigars of 2024. At number 15 is the Plasencia Coseca 151.
Cannot go wrong with Plasencia.
It's a $14 cigar, but it's really good. The Illusione Epernay 10th Anniversary de Aosta.
I don't think I've had that one.
I don't think I have
like
either.
the
Gonna have
Illusione.
to try. That's a $13 cigar. That came in at number 14. At 13, the Espinosa Knuckle Sandwich Habano, made at the San Lotano factory in Nicaragua. That means it was most likely blended by our good friend AJ Fernandez. And so was this one, the Monte Cristo 1935 Anniversary Nicaragua. It's number 12 on the list, and that is a wonderful
great cigar.
Foundation Cigars Axum Claro is number 11, made at Tabacalera AJ Fernandez in Nicaragua. You're noticing his name popping up on this list. We'll get to a few more pop-ups of his name when we return to Smoking and Toast. Welcome back to Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Show number
Barleywine.
417. So, Ian, you're such a fan of barley wine that just now when I poured myself a little more of this barrel-aged Sugar Moon barley wine, I kind of feel guilty like I'm taking it from you in some way. You know?
You bought it, so
Well, yeah, but still, you know what I'm saying? This is because you're such a fan of this
I love
stuff.
that I've achieved that status.
Yeah,
though. That's
you are synonymous with barley wine here
I love
on this
barley
program.
wine.
You really are. All right, I wish I could be synonymous with great cigars, but let me share a few more with you. From the Cigar Snob list of the best cigars of 2024, we're up to number 10, and I'm so thrilled to see this one here because it's a Rocky Patel cigar, but it's the Rocky Patel Gold label. This cigar retails for $12, which, you know, isn't necessarily cheap, but boy, I'll tell you, it's not like they put his $100 cigar in
Right.
at there. And I love that. At number 10 on the list, the Rocky Patel Gold label, Ecuadorian wrapper, Mexican binder, and filler from Nicaragua. At number 9, the Fuente Opus X. This is a $40 cigar, but it's a Fuente, and it is a pretty good looking cigar. The double Corona is the one they chose.
Listen, when you get to about the $10 range, have you ever had a bad Fuente?
No.
Agreed.
No, not
Like they're
not
all
ever.
good.
Not ever. And so that's a good point. If you're at the $40 range, you'd expect that to be pretty
It's gonna be damn good.
Yeah, exactly. Sobremesa Brûlée is number 8 on the list. It is from the Fábrica de Tabacos Joya de Nicaragua in Nicaragua, Ecuadorian wrapper, Mexican binder, and filler from
That's a
Nicaragua
great cigar.
and the USA. $16 cigar there, the Sobremesa Brûlée. At number 7, AJ Fernandez Dias de Gloria Brazil. This is the one with the green in the wrapper.
Yes.
And the one that you made me so jealous because you reviewed it before me.
I'm grinning right now.
Man. It's a $15 cigar, but boy, is it good. At number 6, another one. We've got massive experience with this cigar. The Oliva Serie V Melanio Maduro.
Oh.
The torpedo size is the one they show
100%.
here.
So good.
It is not a cheap one, but it is very, very much a good one. So that leaves us with the top 5, and here they are. At number 5 on the list from Cigar Snob, the Aganorsa Leaf Arsenio. This is a
And
cigar.
Aganorsa Leaf makes great stuff too.
Have you had the Arsenio?
I haven't had the Arsenio.
It's got a blue
The
band.
last one I had was a reserve, and it was so good.
It's got a blue band covering about half the cigar, and apparently, when you take it off, what you do is you go whoop 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 while you smoke it. So no, I don't think that's the case. I don't know.
Arsenio.
I actually miss Arsenio. I enjoyed that
Y'all
show.
from the 90s are going to understand
I enjoyed that show. I thought it was great.
It was great, yeah.
The El
Dude,
Titan
he had great musical guests.
He sure did. And his band, that band was his show band, his house band, they were amazing. They were amazing. The El Titan de Bronze Redemption comes in at number 4. It's a $16 cigar made at the El Titan de Bronze Cigar Factory in Miami. And it uses Ecuadorian wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and filler from Nicaragua. That's number 4. Number 3, the Padron 1964 Anniversary Series.
There's no
at this point, I get
way you can go
confused
wrong with that.
With all of these upper end Padrones, they all look good. They all smell great. They all smoke great.
The whole 1964 series is outrageously good.
And I used to think that this would be super expensive because it's a $20 cigar. But now, seeing as we have Opus X coming in at $40 on this list, yeah,
This seems more reasonable.
It's pretty good.
The Padron 45th anniversary, that thing's $35. It's worth every penny of it.
Now, this is really interesting because I've really been wanting to try this cigar, but I have not done it yet.
Is that a Fonseca?
Yes, it's a Fonseca, which Fonseca was taken over by my father. My father got the rights to the Fonseca name. And this is the Fonseca by my father edition MX, and it is a Robusto. It's $11, but it comes in at number 2 on the list.
Totally going to try that one.
It's a beautiful looking cigar, too. And number 1 on the list, the Joya de Nicaragua Cinco de Cinco.
Yeah.
From Joya de Nicaragua factory in Nicaragua. It is a Mexican wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and filler from Nicaragua. And this is the one that came in at number 1.
Man, good
on
for
the
them.
Cigar Snob list. So very good because
Cinco's great.
That's not one I would have necessarily expected. The Cigar Aficionado list. I'm not saying this is true, but there are a number of people I know who believe that list is influenced by the people who spend more money advertising in Cigar Aficionado. And I just don't get whether that's true or not. You can look at it and say, I don't get that impression at all with the Cigar Snob list. I just don't.
You notice every cigar on the Cigar Snob list is something you can go out and buy and probably find right away. That's a part of it, too. Cigar Aficionado can put themselves a little over the top with, like, here's these Cubans on this list.
That none of us can have
that none of us can get. And I get, okay, yeah, they're good cigars, but, I mean, at the same time, a list of cigars that we could actually attain is nice.
Yeah, but I love looking
Says
at this.
the people who brought you Weller 12 today on the show.
But you can't get anywhere. But good luck looking for it. No, you can find Weller 12. It just isn't the easiest thing in the world to find, right?
No, it is attainable.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, so like it feels a little more down to earth, a little more salt of the earth kind of thing.
So while we're on the topic of cigars, let me just tell you about there was a Tatuaje cigar on this list, and Tatuaje is either coming in very early or very late for Halloween with a new cigar that I'm so excited to smoke just because of the name. It's the Tatuaje Boris Karloff cigar. It's returning to retailers. It's a follow-up to the Tatuaje Karloff in 2020, which I didn't get a chance to smoke, and it is shipping to tobacconists later this month.
I will be looking for that one.
Boris Karloff, of course, portrayed Frankenstein's monster in the 1931 film Frankenstein, and he was Imhotep in The Mummy the next year. And most people probably in our demographic know him as the guy who did the spoken part on Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Darkness falls across the land.
And by the way, that's awesome.
The midnight hour
It's close at hand. Yeah. But I love my favorite line is when he says to terrorize y'all's neighborhood. Yeah. We got Boris Karloff to say y'all. How cool is that? Anyway, look for those. They're made in Nicaragua at My Father's Cigars. The Boris Karloff is limited to 1,000 boxes of 20, so that's only 20,000 cigars. Look for them. I really want to get one of these and smoke it. I'm very excited about it. So, this has been a fun show. Thank you guys for joining us for this. We actually made it through the cigar list, which I'm very, very excited about. I really enjoyed the Weller 12.
We've been cursed with
And
too
this-
many interesting guests.
Yeah,
That's the
right.
problem.
That's right. This barley wine is delicious. Any guests coming
is
up you want to let us know about?
Oh, so I wish you'd have told me that so I'd had this ready. But yes.
Okay. Yeah, but I do think we've got Travis Thompson from Vino Vera Wines coming back with us next year.
Yes, he'll be coming back. We've got, let's see. We got a bunch of stuff coming up in the next couple months. We got
Michael Duckworth from True Anomalies.
True Anomalies coming on. Liliana Rodriguez will be back.
Oh, everybody loves Liliana. That's going to be
Or
so
Agave
good.
Espert,
Yeah.
Trey Andrews from EPC, Albert Cisneros from Smoking Swan.
It's going to be super exciting. So we're looking
Yes.
forward to it. The Beverage and Mystery music on the show is called The Visitor. It's by Shane Ivers at chosick.com. Visit him and check it out. Thank you all for joining us here, and thank you for bringing such a wonderful Weller.
Cheers, y'all.
Have a great week. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all.
Center stage. She like to tell the story.